Welcome back to the Daily Lift. And in this episode, I want to talk to you a little bit about perspective. And perspective is so important in our lives. It makes all the difference and it can change the very way that we see everything. And to prove this, I want to use a simple illustration with a sentence. And I want you to notice carefully when we change the emphasis on different words, how it changes the meaning of the sentence completely. I didn't say she ate the sandwich. It must have been somebody else that said it. I didn't say she ate the sandwich. I may have written it down or texted it to you in a different way without using my words. I didn't say she ate the sandwich. I told you it was somebody else. I didn't say she ate the sandwich. She may have packed it and stored it away for later. I didn't say she ate the sandwich. She didn't eat the sandwich. She ate something else, right? And so we can see every time I put an emphasis on a different word in this sentence, it changes the meaning. What we focus on in our lives does the same thing. What we emphasize changes the meaning of our lives. It changes the meaning of our experience. And there is a wonderful, phenomenal book I highly recommend. It is called The Gap in the Gain, written by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Ben Hardy. And I'm not here to talk about a secular book, but I do want to point out that all valuable self-help concepts come from the original self-help book, that is the Bible. But in this book, it articulates this concept so well. I encourage you all to check this out if you're into self-help kind of books. But so the gap in the gain is a simple concept about perspective. When we're in the gap, we only see the things that we're lacking. We're only seeing where we are now to where we want to be. And so we can be in the gap about ourselves. We may say things like, we're not there yet, or that's just not good enough. We may be in the gap about our situation. That's all I get. They always get more than me. We can say, I accomplished X, but I fell flat on Y and Z. Kind of take that one win and it sucks the wind from our sails because we start talking about all of the failures and losses as well. We can be in the gap about others. You're not living up to your full potential. This is a very destructive ideal to and things to say to people, by the way. But we can be in the gain when we measure our progress. Look how far we've come. This concept is rooted in gratitude and being thankful for what we do have, what we've gained. And so this idea is found and rooted in the Bible. We see this in James chapter 1, verse 3. Count it all joy, my brethren, when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. So where should our focus be? Where should the emphasis be? It should be on the outcome that is going to be produced, not on what it takes to produce it. So for trials to produce patience, we must view them as a test of our faith. Challenge accepted. When we look at it that way, these trials aren't so difficult. They're not so hard. Now we see that this is a necessary process to get to where we want to go. It's a complete perspective change. And this is what James is trying to explain to us here. In Philippians 4, Paul gives us an excellent example about this. He says, not that I speak in regard, and this is Philippians 4:11, in the following verses, not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. I know how to be abased and how to abound. Everywhere in all things, I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Paul, he is telling us he was content in every situation that he was in. Why? Because he knows that Christ supplies his power and his reward. Sometimes I will, on the way home from work, I'll stop and I'll get my kids some candy from the store. And a lot of times they spiral into the gap with this. I'll start handing out the candy that I got them, and they were playing happily before I got home. And now they're all fighting about someone got the one that they wanted. That one's bigger than the other ones. And they start turning a positive thing into something that is negative. This is the gap. The children of Israel in the wilderness also were in the gap. When they were looking to the Red Sea and they're seeing there was no escape, and they had the Egyptian army charging back behind them, and they're saying, "What, did you bring us out here to die? Did we not have enough graves in Egypt? Oh, I wish I was back in Egypt where we had all the food we needed." Really, they're in the gap about these things because they are crying out to the Lord to please deliver us from this atrocities, this oppression that we have going on. We can talk about many examples of this, but I hope you see the point here that what we emphasize, what we focus on is important. It affects the way we live. It affects our actions and our perspective about how we should do things and our decisions. So I want to leave us with a few tips. So first off, we need to be aware of these two diametrically opposed viewpoints, the gap and the gain. If we are in the gap, we cannot be in the gain. If we are being unthankful, we cannot be thankful, and vice versa. So we have to be aware of this first. This is a huge help. Then we have to measure backwards. When we're feeling frustrated, when we're feeling despair and hopelessness, measure backwards. Count your blessings. When I start feeling upset about my kids and they're not behaving like I want them to, I start thinking about how far they've come in the last few months. Measure backwards. Count those blessings. And also realize that you cannot avoid the gap. Trying to avoid the gap will send you right into the gap. But realize you can't avoid it, but try to get back to the gain as fast as you can. And so I hope these short words of encouragement will help fuel you through the rest of your day. Stay in the gain and not in the gap. See you next time.